Que se pongan. Sí, Claudia, ya no le dieron.
¿Qué tal si una persona, compañera de casa, te puedes hacer aquí al lado? Para que estemos más distribuidos. Ya que quieren abrir un poquito para que todas aparezcan, pero tienes así como una filita, por favor. Ok, vamos para acá. Esto para acá, para que te veas. Pero va a ser así como, o sea, de este lado, para que te veas. Si quieren hacerse así como para que estén alineados con ellos. Exacto, perfecto. Listo.
How does that look? Does that look good? Good? Okay.
Bueno, entonces tienen que hacer esto.
Documentado, Buenos días. Good morning. My name is Isaías Guerrero, and that was Mariachi Halcón. Please give him a round of applause. Por favor, regálenle un aplauso. La voz de los mariachis Halcón no solamente son la voz de un pueblo, sino es la voz de la justicia, que en este momento levanta las historias de nuestra comunidad inmigrante, el poder y su belleza, para resaltar que en nuestras historias, en nuestro dolor y en nuestros sueños, estamos creando el camino hacia la justicia para todos y para todas en este país. The words that came out from Mariachi Halcón not only represent the beautiful history of Mexico, but in this moment represent the power, the beauty, the pain, and the dreams of those of us in the immigrant community that are crafting a road towards freedom and liberation for everybody. And that's what we're here to do. I represent Popular Democracy, a coalition of 48 of the most amazing community-based organizations in the country. Today, we gather to lift up the stories of resistance and power and to call out this administration's cruel agenda that at the expense of hundreds and thousands of people, access to healthcare, access to education, by giving money to immigration, is destroying our communities. Trump's immigration policies, including mass detention expansion, and are stripping due process and attacks on birthright citizenship, are unmistakably authoritarian and every day continue to take away any democracy and any protections that are included in it. Today, we are calling the Day of the Disappeared. This is a weekend of action that brings together a broad national coalition, including National Day Labor Organizing Network, Detention Watch Network, the Workers' Circle, Public Citizen, Women's March, Strategic Organizing Initiative, and many others. We're doing a weekend of coordinated protests, vigils, and cultural actions. Together, we are demanding due process, freedom, and justice for all. Today, we're here to tell the administration that we are not going to let this administration attack us, that we're not going to let our people to continue be in the shadows and continue suffering, but that we as immigrants are going to go out in the streets, continue celebrating what we carry in our heritage, that is amazing power and liberation for everybody. Sí, ya no suena. ¿Le pueden subir un poquitico? Súbale un poquitico, sí, por favor. It's too loud for the live stream. Oh, okay. Ahí está bien o mucho. Is that good or too loud? Yeah? Okay. Great. So today you're going to hear from amazing people from Florida, Arizona, Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. They're going to be sharing stories of deportation, detention, but most importantly of hope. And we're going to be naming all those that have died in detention, and we've put all their names here just for this year. These are people that have died in detention, in immigration detention. And we're here to say, stop the deaths and free them all. Say it with me. Stop the deaths, free them all. Free them all. Que paren las muertes y que los liberen a todos. Muchas gracias. Y ahora, I'm going to pass the microphone to a sister in the struggle in an organization that is doing amazing work across the country called Detention Watch Network. We'll invite Setare Gandehari, who's the advocacy director, to come forward.
Good morning. Can you all hear me okay? Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. As Isai shared, my name is Setare Gandehari, and I'm the advocacy director at Detention Watch Network, which is a national coalition of 112 organizational members across 27 states, building power through collective advocacy, grassroots organizing, and strategic communications to abolish immigration detention in the United States. For nearly 30 years now, we have been dedicated to exposing the horrors of immigration detention in the US, a system that is fundamentally inhumane, unnecessary, and deadly. There have been a shocking 25 deaths in ICE custody since Trump's inauguration in January. Beloved family members, mothers and fathers, daughters and sons, friends and neighbors who are not returning to their homes or their communities. This year has been the deadliest year in ICE custody in decades. In immigration detention, people are deprived of freedom, caged in isolation, and made to suffer abysmal conditions that put lives in jeopardy. Detention is deadly. What we're seeing now is a heightened cruelty that is exacerbating the inhumane conditions inherent to ICE's detention system. People in immigration detention are describing it as hell on earth, because it is. Trump's cruel mass detention and deportation agenda has reached a previously unimaginable scope and scale. Detention expansion serves as a key pillar of Trump's mass deportation campaign, which has included the expansion of surveillance, the shameful return of family detention, the incarceration of people in an abusive mega prison in El Salvador, third country deportations, and on our screens and in our communities, many of us have seen the increasingly violent neighborhood and workplace raids that destabilize communities and traumatize adults and children alike. People are aggressively targeted based on what they look like, the language they speak, and where they work. And then they are funneled into ICE's network of private prisons, county jails, state and federal prisons, and makeshift detention camps that subject people to unconscionable conditions: isolation, medical neglect, physical and verbal abuse, overcrowding, insufficient access to necessities like food and water, moldy food is often distributed, and rampant transfers that disappear people into the detention system, sowing confusion and cutting people off from their loved ones and their support networks. In no uncertain terms, ICE has repeatedly proven that no one is safe in its custody. ICE is now the largest enforcement agency in the country, operating with never-before-seen funding to maintain and expand the largest immigration detention system in the world. What we're witnessing right now is a multi-layered detention expansion plan that includes proliferating ICE operations into other government agencies, using military bases as deportation hubs, deepening ties with private prison companies, and growing ICE partnerships with local sheriffs and county jails. This mind-blowing investment into the immigration detention system, driven by Trump's mass deportation campaign, comes at the expense of all Americans. As people lose health care, kids go hungry, families struggle to pay rent and worry over emergency preparedness amidst historic climate catastrophes. So let me say that again. Trump is executing his cruel mass deportation agenda at the expense of life-saving health care and food benefits that exist to support all Americans. But amidst all of this pain, and in the face of these attacks, people in communities across the country are uniting to support each other and to move in unity, to say that we are stronger together and we can have a world where all people are free and able to thrive. Today's event is part of this broader sea change. At Detention Watch Network, we are bringing together 40 communities, more than 40 communities across the country as part of our annual tradition of mourning and celebrating the lives of those who tragically died in ICE custody. And we join in the broader Disappeared in America Weekend of Action this year, bringing together a broad national coalition for a weekend of more than 120 coordinated protests, vigils, cultural actions across the country. Together, we are sending a clear message that freedom and justice for all should be the central pillar of a healthy democracy. And that means ending immigration detention once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Setare. And let's say the words that she just mentioned. So we're here fighting for freedom and justice for all. Everybody say it with me. Freedom and justice for all. Freedom and justice for all. That's right. And so not only we have community voices that have joined us here today, but we're also very inspired because we have Representative Emily Randall from Washington State, who's here to share how she's experiencing these attacks on her community, how she also, as an immigrant, is experiencing this, and not only standing with immigrants, but also standing in the right side of history, in the right side that says freedom and justice for all. Thank you so much, Representative, for joining us.
Gracias. Thank you. Well, I will just say, I'm not an immigrant, but only because my family is from New Mexico and the border crossed us. My grandparents and generations of my grandmothers lived in Rio Arriba, New Mexico, before it was a state, before it became part of the United States. And for me, that's a really formative story, that migration is part of life and that borders change. And my grandparents then moved from the Southwest to Washington State because they wanted economic opportunity for their children and grandchildren. They wanted their children not to face housing and workplace discrimination. They wanted to be able to participate and build a strong economic future for themselves and their neighbors. And that was from one state to another, but that is what so many of our stories are. Moving from one place to another in order to find hope and opportunity for the people that you love, for your children, for yourselves. And there is nothing more beautiful than participating and building a strong economic future for your community, no matter where you come from. In my community that I represent in Washington State's northwest corner, we are home to a diverse community, rainforests and coasts, working people in fish processing and timber, and we are home to the Tacoma Northwest Ice Processing Facility run by GEO, a private prison company. Since being elected, my team and I have gone to visit 4 times. Sometimes we coordinate and they let us in, and this last visit we were denied entrance. Like so many of my congressional colleagues across the country, ICE is closing their doors to the constitutional oversight that is our responsibility. They are illegally denying members of Congress access and oversight because they know that it is not good for them to show us what is happening within their walls. Because they are overcrowded, because access to healthcare is challenging, because the circumstances are not clean, because folks don't have access to the outdoors as they are required to have, because they are locking people up for civil infractions. It looks just like a jail or prison any jail or prison that I have visited, worse than some jails or prisons that I have visited in Washington State. But this is not, immigration is not criminal. When folks end up in immigration court, it is civil, and they should not be locked up in these private prisons in our communities, denied access to healthcare and food and their families. The most recent time that I went to the Northwest Detention Center was after there was an immigration raid on an active wildfire in my district. The largest wildfire in the state. We had firefighting crews from all across the country and around the world helping to combat this very hard to fight fire. And Customs and Border Patrol worked in cooperation with Department of Interior to raid the firefighting site, to pull people off the line who were managing fire fuel, cutting wood, clearing paths, ensuring that this fire didn't grow, to make every single member of the firefighting crew show their identification. And 2 firefighters were detained. This is against previous presidential directive to ensure that active disaster areas are safe from immigration raids. It's a complete reversal of Biden-era policy. And it is not what this president, it hurts my heart to say that, it's not what this president promised he would do in the campaign. He said, I am going to round up the worst of the worst criminals, violent offenders, murderers, rapists, folks who are pushing drugs on our children. That is not what we're seeing in our communities. We're seeing grandparents and parents and green card holders and citizens and firefighters being locked up and disappeared. And we are here to say no more. This is not the America that we fight for. This is not the America that my family helped build. This is not the America that so many of us choose to move to and make more beautiful and more healthy and more vibrant and stronger. Our budgets are a statement of moral values, and it is clear what the values of this administration are. Locking people up, funding the largest enforcement agency in the country to target immigrants while they build a fancy ballroom and deny health care to millions of Americans. I'm grateful to be here with all of you. So grateful and inspired by your voices and your fight alongside the organizations in my community like La Resistencia that is fighting for immigrants in the Northwest Detention Center, ACLU, and NERP, and Kitsap Immigration Assistance Center. It is going to take all of us arm in arm to ensure that our communities are safe and healthy and free. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Representative.
Gracias.
Thank you so much, Representative.
All right, and so as Representative Randall said, we're seeing ICE everywhere in our communities, and it's literally destroying our communities. The social fabric that we're trying to build, leaving everything behind, coming in, starting going to the churches, to the schools, to the hospitals. Now, all of these places that were at one point safe for us are no longer safe. And so the goal is to continue building sanctuary all across the country to ensure that no matter where we are, no matter what our immigration status is, we can live a life of dignity. And to continue hearing amazing, powerful stories, I'm really proud to introduce one leader from CASA. Her name is Janira, who's gonna share her personal story. And we're gonna do it bilingual, so we're also gonna be interpreting. But please give it up for Janira, who's gonna share her story. Un aplauso para Janira, a la compañera.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Yanira y soy miembro de CASA.
Yo interpreto. Hello, good morning. My name is Janira and I'm a member of CASA.
Soy madre de familia y parte de la comunidad que está siendo violentada por los ataques de esta administración.
I'm a mother and I'm part of the community that is being impacted with the violent attacks from this administration.
Ya que están acosando, vigilando y, por qué no decirlo, deteniendo y desapareciendo a aquellas madres, padres, hijos y hermanos y hermanas de la familia que están siendo desaparecidas por este sistema.
ICE is kidnapping, vigilante, and actually disappearing mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters, sisters of families across the country by this system.
Estoy aquí alzando la voz en solidaridad, pidiendo justicia.
I'm here raising my voice in solidarity, asking, demanding justice.
Enfrentando al sistema de opresión y desigualdad.
confronting the system of oppression and inequality.
para todas las comunidades negras, latinas, inmigrantes de clase trabajadora,
And I am fighting in behalf of Black communities, Latino communities, immigrants, and the working class.
exigimos acceso y transparencia y la liberación inmediata de todas las personas secuestradas,
We demand access, transparency, and liberation immediately of all the people that have been kidnapped, detained, and disappeared.
detenidas y desaparecidas, afirmando su dignidad y su derecho a la libertad y al debido proceso.
We want to affirm people's dignity and their right to freedom and due process.
También quiero pedirle justicia por Josué Castro Rivera,
I want to demand justice for Josué Castro Rivera,
ya que agentes federales lo persiguieron hasta que se adentró en el tráfico en Norfolk, Virginia.
He was persecuted and had a traffic accident in Norfolk, Virginia because of the high chase persecution and the way that the police approached them.
Durante la persecución, un camión lo atropelló y murió.
During the chase, a truck hit him and caused his death.
Así que pido un momento de silencio para todos aquellos que perdieron su vida en manos de ICE, como mi compañero virginiano José Rivera Castro.
So I want to ask a moment of silence for all those that have lost their lives in the hands of ICE, like my brother Josué Rivera Castro.
Gracias a todos.
Thanks to everybody. Muchas gracias, Yanira. Y en ese mismo sentimiento queremos conmemorar a todas las personas que han muerto y por eso hemos hecho este hermoso altar. Muchas gracias a Ari y a Kyle de Día de los Muertos DC. Thank you so much to Ari and Kyle from Día de los Muertos DC that with community members have put together this beautiful altar to commemorate those lives that have passed. Now we would like to give the microphone to an amazing freedom fighter that I've gotten to know for many years from La Colectiva. Her name is Beatriz, and she's going to share her testimony of how she's been fighting in Virginia with immigrants across the state to make sure that we have better protections for our immigrants, brothers and sisters. Hola, Beatriz.
Mira, sí, si quieres lo leo completo.
Ok.
Y luego
O si quieres así como por parrafito, sí.
como gustes. Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Beatriz, soy organizadora comunitaria con la colectiva, también previamente detenida por estos sistemas de inmigración. Trabajo de cerca con personas que están ahorita mismo siendo violentadas en las cárceles de ICE.
Hello, my name is Beatriz. I am from La Colectiva, and I myself was victim of being detained by this brutal system of ICE, and I'm here to share my story on how I'm working with communities across the U.S.
Seamos claros, cuando crearon y diseñaron estos sistemas, conocedores y conscientes de la violencia, brutalidad y muerte que iban a causar, han creado y usado narrativas que criminalizan a las comunidades negras de color inmigrantes.
Let's be clear. When they created and designed these systems, they were fully aware of the violence, brutality, and death they would cause. They created and used narratives that criminalize Black, people of color, and migrant communities.
Mientras el DHS, ICE, CBP tienen billones de dólares para aterrorizar, secuestrar, atacar con brutalidad y violencia a nuestras comunidades, simultáneamente compañías privadas como Geo Group, Core Civic obtienen contratos billonarios.
While DHS, ICE, and CBP have billions of dollars to terrorize, kidnap, and brutally and violently attack our communities, private companies like Geo Group and Core Civic simultaneously obtain billion-dollar contracts.
Todos hemos sido testigos de la violencia, la criminalización, el abuso, el trauma y la muerte que causan las detenciones de migrantes.
We have witnessed the violence, criminalization, abuse, trauma, and death caused by migrant detentions.
Recientemente, la detención de Farmville, Virginia, nuevamente denunció abusos de condiciones insalubres, gusanos en la comida, atención médica terrible, y a quienes denuncian les amenazan con castigos severos.
Recently, in the Farmville Detention Center in Virginia, we have gotten reports of abuses, unsanitary conditions, worms in the food, terrible medical care, and threats of severe punishment for those who speak out for being reported.
No queremos mejorar condiciones, queremos que se cierren las detenciones, que liberen a nuestra gente, que vuelvan a casa junto a sus familias aquí en los Estados Unidos.
We don't want to improve conditions. We want the detention centers closed, our people released, and to return home to their families here in the United States.
Es tiempo de alzar la voz, reclamando la libertad que nos quieren robar, no con armas, sino con valentía, con empatía, con amor, respeto. Solo tenemos una vida y este es nuestro planeta.
It's time to raise our voices, reclaiming the freedom that isn't being stolen, not with weapons, but with courage, empathy, love, and respect. We only have one life and one planet.
¿Qué es lo que queremos heredar a las siguientes generaciones? ¿Odio, represión, esclavitud y muerte?
What do we want to leave future generations? Hate, repression, slavery, and death?
Ningún ser humano es ilegal. Libérenlos a todos. Comunidades sí, jaulas no.
No human being is illegal. Free them all. Communities, yes. Cages, no.
En todos ustedes está el poder de levantar esta opresión en este país y en todo el mundo. No podemos permitir que Gaza se convierta, lo que está viviendo Gaza, nos convirtamos aquí, y lo que está pasando en El Salvador. La gente no tiene libertad de expresión. La gente está siendo apresada por alzar la voz y denunciar la violencia del Estado.
We cannot stay silent, especially with the deaths in Gaza. In El Salvador, the freedom of speech is being taken away. We have to organize and come together to make sure that this does not happen.
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all!
Free them all! Muchas gracias, Beatriz, poderosa como siempre, compañera. Un aplauso, por favor, y el trabajo de la colectiva, que es increíble. Thank you so much, Beatriz, for your work and for your words. And what is important is we don't want better conditions. We want those to shut down the detention centers, because no human being should have to endure dying in detention, not having medical access, being beaten up. All of this does not represent American democracy. Bueno, let's continue. I want to introduce now a freedom fighter from Kansas who has been fighting this good fight for years now. So help me welcome Jenny Tejes from Kansas City, or bueno, Kansas and Sunflower.
Hello, everyone. Jenny Silva Renteria from Kansas. I am here today representing the state with the support and collaboration of Sunflower Community Action. And I am an immigrant born in Mexico, and my heart aches for everything that is happening in our community, not only in Kansas, but across the United States. But I have not let that define me, and the pain has not stopped me from doing the work in the community. I have a purpose, and I know there is a reason why I did not die 30 years ago when I walked for days across the border in the desert in the middle of the summer. Today, I am part of a network, part of a support system that our families need. I am a co-founder of Kansas Immigration Coalition, the first coalition in Kansas that focuses to work with the immigrant community. And this was formed as a response to the needs of the community. Because of the work we do, we have witnessed people go home after interacting with ICE. People who have to go home and hug their family at night. It was a family their immigration showed up at their door, and because of the work that we have done and the education awareness, and because they have participated in the Know Your Rights, they knew exactly how to respond, and thankfully, nobody was detained. We have brought peace and hope to a high schooler who was early on, whenever all of this started, he was really worried about his mom getting detained and not knowing who was going to pick up his little sister from school. This is the stories that we hear not only in Kansas, but across our nation. A child, a high schooler, should not focus on where their mom is going to be. They should be focusing on their dreams, their future. By raising awareness, by talking about the rights and safety plans, we can help our community prepare whenever this happens. On the day of the death, we remember those who have lost their lives, seeking better opportunities for themselves and for their children, just like my parents did when I was 10 years old. Those that have lost to injustice, the lack of due process, and hate, we are their voice and we should be speaking up. If the same energy and resources that are going into family separation will be put into making our families strong, this country indeed will be the greatest country of all. But rather, we choose to separate families and increase the fear. I ask that we unite our voices without labels, without size, as one voice, the immigrant voice, a voice asking for dignity, for justice, and for the opportunity to keep the families together. As Dolores Huerta said, you are the gardens. Son los jardineros, somos los jardineros, who plant the seeds of hope and justice everywhere we go. Everything we do, everything you do matters. The lives of our gente matter. So please say it with me. What do we want? Families. How do we want them? Together. What do we want?
Families.
How do we want them?
Together.
What do we want?
Families.
How do we want them?
Together.
Keep raising your voice. Do it angry. Do it scared. Do it with pain. Do it with hope. Because our families belong together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny. That's right. That was a beautiful quote from Dolores Huerta, that we are the seeds of hope and liberation, I think it was, something like that. Very beautiful. So somos las semillas de esperanza y de amor. Y justicia, gracias, eso. Bueno, muchas gracias, Jenny. And now we're going to pass the microphone from a brother and a sister from Fuerte, Arizona. Cesar and Tamilia, who are going to share how Arizona is experiencing the current wave of attacks on the immigrant community. Will share from us how they're defending and how they're preparing and what they're seeing in the ground. Un aplauso para Cesar y para Tamilia.
Gracias. So today we came all the way from Phoenix, Arizona to talk about how our families, our neighbors, our community members are being disappeared in the dead of the night. Our system out there is broken. We have family members who have been waiting 20 plus years for an approval notice for a residency, who are now afraid to go shopping, afraid to go to the doctor because of all the disappearances that are happening. Let me be clear with everybody. It's not immigrants who are harming this community, this country. It's the billionaires who are buying politicians, the politicians that are using us as scapegoats, the landlords who are increasing our rents illegally because they know our communities are too afraid to report it, the corporations that are stealing our wages from hardworking families. These are the folks that are actually harming the communities and not the immigrants. America was built on immigrants. and we are American. So I want to pass it on to Tamilia, who's going to share stories about what's happening out there as well.
Hola, mi gente. My name is Tamilia Gosa Chapa. I'm also from Arizona. What is happening to our community is devastating. People, when they go to their everyday places like the carniceria, the mercados, the stores, y todo, they're scared. I spent the better part of the spring and the summer passing out Know Your Rights cards, answering questions for people in my community of what they can do, how they can prepare. We are preparing people by putting together safety plans in case they are separated. As a former school board member, I watched as the elementary students that I served also be very terrified about what would happen if they came to school and they came home and their parents were no longer there. No child should ever have to live through that. No adult should ever have to live through that. As I look at the ofrenda and I see all these flores, I think about the girasol. And the girasol is a flower that goes towards the light, and when there's no light, they go towards each other. And as a community, that's what we should be doing. We should be taking care of each other, uplifting each other, protecting each other, preparing each other. And what this administration is doing is very violent, and it is traumatizing our people, and that is not okay. Immigrants, the only reason any of us are not immigrants that aren't immigrants is by luck. The only reason why that man that's sitting in the White House right now is not an immigrant is by sheer luck, and because he did not have to go through the things that many people in the immigrant community have to go through now. The reason why I am not an immigrant is because my grandmother just so happened to be born on the side of the border that was considered the United States. And from this girasol del barrio to all the other girasoles del barrio, it is time for us to lean into each other and uplift each other and fight for each other, and remember that we are only as strong as our most vulnerable link in our communities, and it is time to stop making everyone else more vulnerable. It is not okay, and we need to stand up to this violence.
Yes, thank you so much, Tamilia and César. And what's so important is to be prepared. Lo que dijeron Tamilia y César es que tenemos que estar preparados, hacer planes de protección familiar, hacer los poderes para nuestros hijos, nuestras hijas, nuestras propiedades en caso de cualquier cosa, pero también estar preparados para hacer campañas, para pelear las deportaciones de cada uno de nosotros y de nuestros vecinos y de nuestros seres queridos. Porque unidos podemos, y nosotros somos los únicos que nos vamos a poder salvar. Entonces, unidas podemos. Unidas podemos. Así es. Bueno, ahora pues vamos a hacer el momento de la ofrenda, en el cual pues vamos a decir los nombres de las personas que han muerto este año en detención. Entonces, what is important about this moment is we're gonna lift up the spirits of those that have passed in detention this year. And so after you hear the name, please say presente, presente, presente. Okay? Entonces empecemos con Cielito Lindo, compañeros. Perdón, amor eterno, amor eterno. Gracias.
Sí, Cielito Lindo es lo opuesto.
After you hear the name, please say presente, presente. Sigan con la música para tenerla ahí detrás. Eso. El mismo círculo. Jenny Donaldo Ruiz Guillén, 29 years old, Honduras, Chrome Detention Center, Florida. Presente, presente, presente. Serawit Gesaen Deyene, 45 years old, Etiopía, Eloy Detention Center, Arizona. Presente, presente, presente. Maxim Cheniak, 44 years old, born in Ukraine, Chrome Detention Center, Florida. Presente, presente, presente. Juan Alexis Tineo Martínez, 44 years old, República Dominicana, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Presente, presente, presente. Brian Rayo Garzón, 27 años, Colombia, Phelps County Jail, Roya, Missouri. Presente, presente, presente. Non Ngoc Nguyen, 55 years old, Vietnam, El Paso Detention Center. Presente, presente, presente. Marianne Blaze, 44 years old, Haiti, Broward Detention Center, Florida. Presente, presente, presente. Abelardo Avellaneda Delgado, 68 years old, México, Stewart Detention Center, Georgia. Presente, presente, presente. Jesús Molina Bella, 45 years old, born in Mexico, Stewart Detention Center, Georgia. Presente, presente, presente. Johnny Novello, 49 years old, born in Canada, Detention Center, Miami, Florida. Presente, presente, presente. Isidro Pérez, 75 years old, born in Cuba, Chrome Detention Center, Florida. Presente, presente, presente. Tien Xuan Phan, 55 years old, Vietnam, Carnes County Detention Center, Texas. Presente, presente, presente. Chao Feng He, 32 years old, born in China. Processing Center, Pennsylvania. Presente, presente, presente. Lorenzo Antonio Batres Vargas, 32 years old, born in Mexico. Florence Detention Center, Arizona. Presente, presente, presente. Ismael Ayala Uribe, 39 years old, México, Adelanto Center, California. Presente, presente, presente. Santos Reyes Vanegas, 42 years old, Honduras. Nassau County, New York. Presente, presente, presente. Oscar Rascón Duarte, 54 years old, México. Eloy Detention Center, Arizona. Presente, presente, presente. Norlan Guzmán Fuentes, born in El Salvador, and Miguel Ángel García Hernández, 32 años, México, died in a shooting in Dallas in September. Presentes, presentes, presentes. Leo Cruz Silva, 34 years old, born in Mexico, Genevieve County Detention Center, Missouri. Presente, presente, presente. Suabing Xie, age not reported, from China, Imperial Regional Detention Facility, California. Presente, presente, presente. Hassan Ali Mo Saleh, 67 years old, born in Jordan, Chrome Detention Center, Florida. Presente, presente, presente. Estikaukur Rahman, 19 years old, Bangladesh, Camp 8, Montana, Fort Bliss. Presente, presente, presente. Gabriel García Avilés, 50s, Adelanto Detention Center. Presente, presente, presente. Kai Jin Wong, 63 years old, born in China, South Texas Processing Center. Presente, presente, presente. Estela Ramos, 45 years old, Guatemala. Presente, presente, presente. Jaime Alanis, 56 years old, born in Mexico. Presente, presente, presente. Silverio Villegas González, 38 years old, born in Mexico, died during a traffic stop. Silver, presente, presente. Vivos los queremos. Libres los queremos. Lucharemos por todas y todas. Y que se acabe la migra. Migra no. Migra no. Migra no. Migra no. Comunidades sí. Comunidades sí. Comunidades sí.
Muchas gracias, María Chalcón, y que estas vidas vivan siempre en nuestros corazones, nos inspiren para seguir continuando este camino hacia la justicia, romper el miedo, educarnos y seguir organizándonos para que pronto todos y todas estemos libres y no tengamos que vivir con esa angustia. All right, thank you so much, Maria Chalcón. Thank you, everybody. And let's keep those stories close to our hearts. And so the idea of these moments is not only to cry and to open up and share our pain, but transform the pain into power. And to know that we're not here alone, that we're not the only ones organizing, but like Setare said, there's 120 events that are happening this weekend that are commemorating, that are fighting, so that there's better conditions for immigrants all across the country. So this is the first step of turning pain into power and to putting pain in the public sphere, because it is when we put our pain publicly that we actually create the moral crisis so that things change. So we will continue organizing and making sure that no one else goes into those jails and to those detention centers. And in that vein, we want to give the microphone to some really powerful allies that we have in our lucha. And I want to give the microphone to Susania Costa, who's a furloughed federal worker from the Federal Unionist Network who are here in solidarity to stand with us, and they haven't been paid, y'all, for like about a month now. They're fighting every day as well, but they're willing to stand strong to make sure that in the budget fight that we're going on right now, no one more dollar goes to ICE, no one more dollar is taken away from our healthcare system, because that's what this administration wants to do. Wants to take money away from our communities to give it to billionaires. And we're here to say no to that they better invest in communities and not cages. So let me pass it to Susani Acosta from the Federal Unionist Network.
Bienvenida, Susani. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Buenos dias.
Good morning.
By the end of this week, I will have been furloughed for over a month. I am a furloughed worker from the National Institutes of Health. I help researchers and doctors in this country and in around the world use data to improve patient care and health. But today, I'm speaking in a personal capacity only. I'm a first-generation Latina. Mis padres son de la República Dominicana. They're also citizens of this country. And yet I still fear for their safety every day. I fear for the safety of my Latino community everywhere. The Supreme Court says that it's okay to profile people based on their skin color and their accent. My parents have lived here for over 30 years. They've given their lives to service, to hard work, and to their community. They've instilled those values to me as well, which is why I work in the federal government. But I can't live in the same state that they do. They currently live in North Carolina, and I live in DC. If something were to happen to them, I would have to go through so many hoops just to get to them, just to protect them. And I'm increasingly worried because they are getting older. ICE has severely injured people just because they are brown, just because they have the wrong accent. If you speak with the wrong accent, if you look too brown, or you look like you could have come from Central America, they're going to go after you. You could be here, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you are undocumented, whether you have your documents, or are a citizen. They don't see anything else. You are just an illegal to them. As someone who comes from a Latino community, focus on family and community was fundamental to the values that I grew up with. I was taught to respect my elders and authority, but most importantly, I was taught that we have to take care of each other. We don't have anyone but ourselves. My parents come from a country where they couldn't trust the government. They came here believing that it would be different. They believed that if they worked hard, if they kept their heads down, we would be left alone to do our work and live our lives. They believed that we would have rights as people in this country, that we would be able to use the courts to protect ourselves from harm, that it wasn't like where we came from. But now the government is using our tax dollars to attack a community that has only built up this country. Our community that has paid into this system. We're seeing the government sever that relationship. And this is going to harm the relationship of our community with the government, with law enforcement, for generations to come. So we gather to remember those who have disappeared. Mothers, fathers, friends, co-workers taken by the militarized police, the National Guard, or ICE, detained without cause, or deported without due process. Behind every number is a face, a name, a story. A parent who didn't come home from work. A student who no longer can go to class. A family waiting for news that will never come. When people are disappeared into detention, it's not their freedom that's at stake. It's not only just their freedom that's at stake. It's all of ours. When they are detained, it isn't just physical attacks, but psychological warfare. Up this country in a very quiet way, without almost anyone noticing. But they're being attacked and broken down, being told that they're subhuman. Part of a broader effort to consolidate power and to silence dissent. We did everything you said, and we were treated terribly anyway. Asylum seekers were told to go to court hearings. They did. They did it legally, but it doesn't matter. They're being violently ripped apart from their families anyway. This is more than just about immigration. It's about defending democracy, human rights, and the idea that every person deserves to live free and without fear. The sins of a few are being used as an excuse to convict and target millions of innocent, hardworking people. We are a growing community. So much of our community works at storefronts, at construction sites, and restaurants. I have a federal government job. But my community, our community, is everywhere, building this country every single day. We deserve to do that with the freedom that everyone deserves. As a public servant, I took an oath to the Constitution, not to power, not to politics, but to the people. The oath calls me to stand here today with faith communities, with workers, families, and allies, to say clearly, we will not forget the disappeared. We will not let fear define who belongs. And we will not let complicity define policy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susani, for your commitment and for standing strong in this almost month without getting paid, but we really are thankful for you and for everybody else, federal workers that are still going to work, still showing up and doing their everyday. And definitely our heart goes to you all and hope that this madness ends soon. We want to pass the microphone now to another sister in the struggle and an amazing organization called UndocuBlack. And her name is Miki, who's going to share a little bit about how they're working with Black immigrants all across the country and building power for everyone. Hey, Miki, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Mickey. I'm an organizer with the UndocuBlack Network. We are a multi-generational network that fosters community, facilitates access to resources, and contributes to transforming the realities of Black immigrants. We have witnessed how, from Jim Crow to mass incarceration and now immigration detention, Black bodies have long been targeted by systems designed to criminalize, control, and disappear us. Yet the impact of detention expansion on the Black immigrant community remains one of the least acknowledged crises in our immigration discourse. Anti-Blackness has long been deeply entrenched and embedded in the U.S. immigration system. Policies and practices disproportionately criminalize Black immigrants, subjecting them to harsher treatments, longer detention sentences, and higher rates of abuse. 1 in 5 Black people in the United States is either an immigrant or a child of an immigrant, making immigration undeniably a Black issue. Yet at the intersections of race and immigration, status often is left out of these conversations. Now in real time, we are watching across the country our local police departments become deputized as immigration agents. Federal police departments and agencies are patrolling our streets as if they are regular police, yet they are deputized and trained to kill. This collaboration is fueling deportations from within our own communities, embedding fear and separation into everyday life. Anti-immigration sentiment is intensifying, and so does the reach of our programs, turning routine encounters with police into potential pathways to detention and deportation. The overlap between the criminal justice system and immigration enforcement is creating is creating and funneling Black immigrants from prison cells to detention centers. Racial profiling and over-policing in Black communities, which is already at rapid pace and high rates, is now increased the likelihood of immigration detention. 76% of Black immigrants who are deported because of contact is from the police. Black immigrants make up only 5.4% of the undocumented population in the US, yet they make up 20.3% of immigrants that are facing removal based on criminal convictions. Black immigrants in detention are facing disturbing patterns of racism, violence, and neglect. They're placed in solitary confinements at disproportionately higher rates. They're being denied medical care, and they're being subjected to daily abuse. Studies from 2012 to 2017 are showing that detained individuals from predominantly Black countries, who make up less than 4% of detained people in the US, make up more than 20% of all people that are in solitary confinement. Today we lift up and we honor the lives those that have lost in detention. Being detained for seeking opportunity, support, or safety should not equal a death sentence. The prison industrial complex has already absorbed detention into its machinery. As the late Assata Shakur said, it is our duty to fight for our freedom, and it is our duty to win. And with that, we build a world where our people can live free from borders and with dignity. And until then, we will continue to fight for the release of every community member that is still in detention today. With that, I want to uplift the name Rodney Taylor, who has been detained for over 6 months now, despite having lived in the US for over 40 years, coming here as a child, receiving life-changing medical care. Despite having a pending green card application, he did everything right. He has built a life in Georgia, becoming a skilled barber in Atlanta and dedicated volunteer in his community. Rodney, who is a double amputee, relies on his prosthetics to walk and has experienced abuse and neglectful conditions while detained. The facility has failed for months to make accommodations or allow him access to prosthetics. The conditions at SDC are repeatedly cited as neglectful and inadequate, especially for individuals with disabilities and ongoing medical needs. When he spoke up about these unsafe conditions and his experiences, he was punished and placed in solitary confinement. The people detained at SDC and their loved ones have reported overcrowding, human rights violations, and a facility that has a long history of abuse, including documented inadequate mental health care, use of solitary confinement, medical neglect, unsanitary conditions, forced labor, and use of force against detainees. ICE must be held accountable for the treatment of all individuals in custody, regardless of their immigration status. Join us in demanding ICE release Rodney Taylor immediately by signing the petition and donating to his GoFundMe. You can join us and take action by going to bit.ly/Rodney Taylor. Free Rodney Taylor and free them all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. So let's say it together. Free Rodney Taylor and free them all. Free Rodney Taylor and free them all. Free Rodney Taylor and free them all. Thank you so much, y'all. So now we want to pass the microphone to one of our local voices who has been working with immigrants across DC and the DMV, and is going to read the testimony of Pedro. This is not their real name. They asked us to change their name because they're afraid of retaliation. And I'll pass it to Diana Fula so she reads Pedro's testimony. Give it up for Diana Fula from Spaces in Action.
Ven, mi amor, ven. ¿Quieres estar acá? Buenas tardes a todos. Yo soy Diana Fula, organizadora de salud con Espacios en Acción, y como dijo Isaías, voy a leer el testimonio de uno de nuestros miembros de la comunidad. Mi nombre es Pedro, inmigré con mi esposa a este país varios años atrás, buscando mejores oportunidades, un trabajo digno, una vida alejada de la violencia que se había convertido en nuestro temor más fuerte al haber perdido familiares por abuso policial y violencia en las calles.
My name is Pedro. I migrated with my wife to this country very years behind, looking for better opportunities, a dignified work, and a life away from violence that had converted our everyday.
and our biggest fear, as we had lost family members because of police abuse, violence in the streets.
Hasta el año pasado, nuestros días transcurrían con normalidad. Los fines de semana salíamos en familia, con nuestros 3 hijos nacidos en este país, a disfrutar hasta que esta nueva administración llegó y todo se volvió una amenaza constante para nuestras comunidades.
Until last year, our days passed in normality. The weekends we would go out with our family, with our 3 children, born in this country, to have fun and basically live our lives until this administration came and the same threat came back of a constant fear and attacks to our communities.
Empezaron las detenciones arbitrarias por perfil racial, la violencia policial se incrementó y DC, siendo una ciudad santuario, empezó su colaboración con la policía y ICE, por lo que empezamos a restringir nuestras salidas y solo hacíamos lo estrictamente necesario. Mi esposa llevaba un proceso de asilo de varios años, siempre iba a sus chequeos regulares, hasta que en junio de este año, mientras ella cumplía con el supuesto camino legal, fue detenida de manera arbitraria en la corte sin ninguna razón o explicación. Ese día yo tuve suerte de salir sin que me detuvieran porque tenía a mi hija de 2 años en mis brazos, ciudadana estadounidense, que no dejaba de llorar al ver cómo ICE estaba arrancando a su ser más preciado, su mamá.
So the detention started arbitrarily with discrimination due to race, and the violence of the police increased in DC. It was supposed to be a sanctuary city, but because of inaction by the mayor, the collaboration started between the police and ICE. So that's why we would only go out what was for strictly necessary, go out of the house. My wife had a process of asylum for various years, and she would always go to her checkups, and everything would go as normal until June of this year, that while she had to go in and was supposed to be following a legal path, she was detained arbitrarily in court without any reason or explanation. And that day, I was lucky because I could have been detained as well. But if it wouldn't have been because I had my 2-year-old daughter in my arms, who happens to be a U.S. citizen, I would have been detained. She would not stop crying when she saw ICE taking the most precious being, her mother.
A mi esposa la trasladaron en menos de 12 horas a un centro de detención en Texas y fue muy difícil encontrarla y comunicarme con ella. Cuando logramos hablar, me dijo que el trato era inhumano en esa detención, que la alimentación era horrible y que las noches era imposible dormir por las luces siempre prendidas y el frío que hacía. Nunca le dieron explicación por su detención. Ella no tenía ningún antecedente criminal, siempre había cumplido con sus citas en la corte y estábamos haciendo todo con un abogado por el supuesto camino legal.
My world and my family, my wife was transferred in less than 12 hours to a detention center in Texas. It was very hard to find her and communicate with her. The treatment was horrible, the food was old, and many nights she passed without being able to sleep because it was cold and the lights wouldn't be turned off. She didn't have any criminal background and had never missed any of her court dates. And so we're doing whatever possible with a lawyer so we can fight her case.
Mi esposa estuvo detenida varias semanas mientras los abogados presentaban un perdón para que se le perdonara la deportación. Sin embargo, no obtuvimos respuesta, pero lo que hizo ICE sin ningún aviso fue subirla a un avión y enviarla a El Salvador. Al aterrizar en El Salvador, cuando ella se iba a bajar del avión, el oficial le dijo que había sido un error y que tenían que regresarla al centro de detención en Texas. Y así fue como esa misma madrugada, una vez más, fue privada de su libertad sin mayor explicación.
When she was deported, she was taken to El Salvador. When she arrived at El Salvador and got off the plane, the detention officer told her it was a mistake and that she had to go back to Texas. And so that's what happened. She got back in the plane and went back to the detention center in Texas without any explanation.
Mi esposa estuvo detenida en Texas por algunas semanas más después de que la regresaron de El Salvador y luego fue deportada de la manera más injusta y sin ninguna explicación. Una semana después, como familia, decidimos enviar a nuestros 3 hijos nacidos en este país a El Salvador para que pudieran estar con su mamá.
She was detained a couple of other weeks in Texas and then finally deported to El Salvador. A couple of weeks after that, we had to send our 3 children to go and live with her in El Salvador so that they could be with their mom.
Esta historia es una muestra de cómo ICE desgarra nuestras comunidades, cómo nos deshumaniza para legitimar sus actos racistas, discriminatorios y desproporcionados. Antes de terminar, quiero que no olvidemos que somos amor, resistencia, poder colectivo y que pese a todos los ataques seguiremos creando comunidades unidas, educadas, que usan sus voces y que saben el poder de sus historias, de sus raíces y de sus ancestros. No pararemos hasta que haya justicia por nuestras familias y por nosotros. Sé que ganaremos.
These stories demonstrate that how ICE is tearing apart our communities, are dehumanizing and trying to legitimate their racist acts, their discriminatory acts, and disproportionate use of force. Before I finish, I want to make sure that we don't forget that we are love, resistance, and collective power, and that no matter these attacks, we will continue creating united communities that use their voices, and that know their power within their stories and their roots. We won't stop until there's justice for all of our families, and for all of those that aren't with us. I know that we will win.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Cuándo? Ahora.
¿Qué queremos? Libertad. ¿Qué queremos?
¡Libertad!
¿Qué queremos?
¡Libertad!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora!
Así es, compañeras. Muy bien. Muchas gracias, Diana, y a Pedro por su poderoso testimonio. Y bueno, ahora pues queremos darle el micrófono. Ahora ya estamos hablando de cómo vamos a organizarnos, cómo vamos a crear ese poder juntos y juntas para seguir pues encontrando la berraquera y la energía para lograr esta libertad. Entonces ahora quiero pasarle el micrófono a una compañera también que lleva organizando por años en la Florida, que se llama Nefer Rojas, y nos va a comentar el trabajo que están haciendo allá con Florida Rising y Semillas Colombia. Give it up for Nefer Rojas, who's an amazing immigrant leader in Florida, has been working with an organization called Semillas Colombia that is also part of Florida Rising.
Buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Nefer Rojas, vengo de la Florida. Como saben, las cosas como están allá, también tenemos dificultades terribles, pero el día de hoy quiero hablarles de un caso particular. Soy inmigrante, soy colombiana y vengo a contarles algo de la historia de este muchacho que está acá. Se llama Brian Rayo Garzón.
Hello, my name is Nefer Rojas and I am an immigrant from Colombia. And as you know, the conditions in Florida are very difficult in terms of immigration and the discrimination that is coming against us. And today I'm here to talk to you about a really important member of our community that you probably have heard. His name is Brian Rayo Garzón.
Bueno, estamos acá para resaltar el caso de tantas personas desaparecidas en este sistema tan injusto. Queremos alzar la voz por Brian Rayo Garzón, un joven colombiano que perdió su vida bajo custodia de ICE en Missouri.
We are here lifting up how so many people have been disappeared in this unjust system. We want to lift the voice of Brian Rayo Garzón. He's a Colombian young man that lost his life under ICE custody in Missouri.
Brian solo buscaba un futuro mejor, pero al toparse con ICE, este pasado marzo fue detenido y enjaulado. Allí, pese a pedir ayuda para su salud mental, no recibió el apoyo adecuado.
Brian only was looking for a better future, but when he came face to face with ICE this past March, he was detained and put in a cage. There, he asked for help because of a mental health condition, and he did not receive the proper care.
Tal fue el descuido que todavía no se sabe exactamente las circunstancias de su muerte. Su madre, Lucy Garzón, la hemos acompañado a buscar justicia.
Such was the lack of care that he received that we still do not know the circumstances of his death. His mother, Lucy Garzón, we have been working with her to look for justice.
Porque estamos confrontando un sistema creado para oprimir. Necesitamos luchar y conquistar un país que construya puentes, no barreras. Un país que recuerde que la grandeza no viene de donde naciste, sino lo que estamos dispuestos a hacer por nuestro prójimo.
Because we're confronting a system that is created to oppress us. We need to fight and organize in order to make sure that this country does not build walls but builds bridges. A country that remembers the greatness of not where you were born, but what we're willing to do for each other.
Así que cumplamos esa lucha por Brian, por los inmigrantes entre nosotros, por nuestros padres, abuelos e hijos, y por un mejor país que sabemos que podemos lograr.
So let's make sure that we fight and that we make this a struggle of ours. For Brian, for all the immigrants that are within us, for our fathers, mothers, grandparents, sons and daughters, and for a better country that we know that we can achieve.
Por eso hoy decimos, Brian, presente, Brian.
Presente.
Brian.
Presente.
Brian.
Presente.
Gracias.
Sí se puede. Okay. Muchas gracias, Nefer. Now I want to give the microphone to another sister in the struggle that has been fighting for years for all communities. She's the Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU. I'll give the microphone to Hadi Gassama. Give it up for Hadi.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you. Hi, everyone. I think the benefit of coming towards the end of a program is being able to say, yes, I agree with everything that everyone has said who spoke before me. I also really want to ground us in this moment that none of this is normal, right? I don't know about you all, but these last couple of weeks, this one week in particular for me has felt very, very, very heavy for all the reasons that my comrades in the movement have shared. Let's be clear, this country has disappeared people for many, many years. This immigration detention system has been harmful for many years. But this particular time period feels different. Earlier this year, we know that Congress gave ICE $45 billion to expand their already massive detention system. $45 billion. Shame. And the current administration has shared their goal of wanting to detain and deport up to 100,000 of our community members by the end of this year.
Shame.
They've already detained more than 60,000 members of our community this year. Shame. And they are building tent camps in a matter of days to hold our loved ones. They're also using military bases to detain our loved ones. And they are also detaining people in
random basements in various administrative buildings in their field offices. On top of all of this, they are also brazenly blocking members of Congress from conducting their oversight visits. This is all happening while 22, potentially more, people have already died in ICE custody just this year alone. And so when we say that people are being disappeared, we're not being hyperbolic or dramatic or exaggerating. Quite literally, when people go into ICE custody, more often than not, they are sent to remote places where they cannot access contact with their attorneys or their families. This is not normal. None of this is normal, and we're not even quite at the end of this year alone yet. And so I want to emphasize to you all, as heavy as all of this information that I just shared with you all is, as heavy as all of the stories of our community members who have passed away in detention, who have been disappeared, is that I'm still very encouraged to see so many of us in this room, so many folks who've been in this fight for many, many years. And I encourage us to continue fighting. I want us to continue the drumbeat on this issue, continue sharing the stories of our loved ones who've been disappeared. I appreciated the comrade who spoke earlier, who is a federal worker. We are here talking about people who have not been paid or will not receive a paycheck for over a month of work. You know who's still working? ICE. Detention facilities are still open, and our community members are still being fed into this horrific machine. And we need to continue to urge also our members of Congress, who also are being paid during this shutdown, to continue doing the work of conducting oversight on these facilities, to continue showing up to these facilities and demanding to be let in, so we can have a sense of what is happening to our loved ones there and so that they can access justice. So thank you again so much. Really, really, really appreciate being here with you all. And again, I urge us to continue the fight. We're only a year in, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hari. Yes, and we have to remember each other that this is not normal. Lo que está pasando no es normal, dice Hari. Y es importante que le recordemos eso a nuestra gente para que sigamos luchando, para que se den cuenta de que la democracia está al borde de ser destruida completamente y que esto no está bien. Y por eso tenemos que luchar. Y bueno, queremos también darle el micrófono a Diego Bartesagui, que es el director de comunicación de Make the Road New Jersey. Tenemos compas de New Jersey. Yeah. Make the Road New Jersey came today all the way from New Jersey to join us here today, and they've been fighting against the detention center out there. They were with the people that were detained, with the ¿cómo se llama el Amiri? ¿Cómo se llama el alcalde de Newark? Ras Baraka, that got detained over there in front of the detention center because of a vigil that was led by Make the Road New Jersey and partners every week. So we're really glad that you're here with us. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos, compañeros y compañeras de Make the Road New Jersey. Y te paso el micrófono.
Compas, ¿qué queremos? ¡Justicia! ¿Qué queremos? ¡Justicia! ¿Cuándo? ¡Ahora! ¿Cuándo? ¡Ahora! ¿Cuándo? ¡Ahora! Thank you so much. My name is Diego Bartesagui. I am the communications manager of Make the Road New Jersey. I'm also a proud immigrant from Peru. Thank you so much for inviting us today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our fight in New Jersey and how everything started. So on January 23rd, the Trump administration carried out its first workplace raid in Newark, New Jersey, arresting a veteran and U.S. citizen. Since then, the number of ICE jail beds in New Jersey has grown from 360 to 1,500. Today, New Jersey has the largest number of ICE jail beds on the entire East Coast. As of now, the Trump administration has disappeared more than 3,000 New Jersey residents, family members, fathers, mothers, tíos, tías, hermanos, hermanas, as a part of a broader effort to consolidate power and silence dissent. But we won't be silenced. No nos quedaremos callados. No. As the Trump administration's attacks continue, we did not back down. We arm our communities with knowledge through vital Know Your Rights workshops and with power through organizing, showing that organizing is key to fighting back. For weeks outside Delaney Hall, a 1,200-bed ICE jail and the first to open under the Trump administration, we stood shoulder to shoulder with Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and his administration as they attempted to contact Geo Group because they did not have the necessary permits to operate, so they did it illegally. Alongside dozens of community members, immigrants organizations, and allies, we held vigils and rallies. On May 9th, when Congress members Bonnie Watson Coleman, LaMonica McIver, and Robert Menendez Jr. arrived at Delaney Hall to conduct an oversight visit following years of documented abuse, neglect, and violence at that facility, in a blatant display of power and in broad daylight, our mayor, Ras Baraka, was arrested by ICE. He was the first, and unfortunately not the last, elected officials to be targeted and silenced by this administration for standing up for what is right. As we stood shoulder to shoulder with Mayor Baraka, we are now standing alongside a Congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, against her bogus charges for simply doing her congressional duty. But we won't be silenced. No nos quedaremos callados. No. ICE has continued threatening our communities. They even tried to open a third ICE jail right behind our own backyard in Union County. For months, we organized dozens of community members and packed the county commissioners' meetings every month to say loud and clear, ICE out of New Jersey. The same week that the Trump administration announced that Fort Dix in New Jersey will open as a 3,000-bed ICE jail, and the Third Circuit ruled in favor of private prisons, the power of our poder de nuestra gente said no more. Together, we stopped that ICE jail from coming to Union County. We showed this administration that when we organize, we win. We won't be silenced. No nos quedaremos callados. No. Detention is deadly. Trump's cruel mass detention and deportation agenda has reached an unimaginable scope and scale. The human toll and the cost to all Americans continues to grow. Our communities are suffering, but there is hope. Our communities are not staying silent while our families are being torn apart. We won't stay silent while our neighborhoods are being occupied. Let's say this loud and clear. Immigrants' lives are a value. Immigrants deserve safety, respect, and dignity. As we mourn the lives lost in ICE custody, let's not stay silent. No nos quedaremos callados. No. Compas, hoy no es un día de fiesta. Hoy y siempre va a ser un día de lucha y de protesta. Por nuestros desaparecidos, ni un minuto de silencio, toda una vida de lucha. Por los más de 3,000 residentes de Nueva Jersey desaparecidos, ni un minuto de silencio, toda una vida de lucha. Y por nuestros muertos en manos de ICE, ni un minuto de silencio, toda una vida por lucha. ¿Sí se puede, compañeros? Sí, ¿se puede, compañeros? Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Marito, poderoso.
Bueno, compas, ya llegamos al final del programa. Entonces, primero, pues agradecerles a todas las personas que hablaron hoy. Un aplauso, por favor, a las organizaciones. Thank you so much for everybody that spoke today, everybody that came. Please give it up for Dia de los Muertos, Ari and Kyle, for this beautiful altar, for Patrick and the sound, my friend, for coming on the media as well and covering. For the church, for having us here, Popular Democracy, Detention Watch Network, for holding it down. Mariachi Halcón, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Vamos a tomarnos una foto acá con el altar mientras van a tocar Cielito Lindo. Acuérdense del coro de Cielito Lindo. Es ay, 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 ay.
Canta y no llores, ¿cierto? Pero entonces vamos a hacer ay, 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 lucha y no llores. Porque luchando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Porque vamos es a luchar también, ¿cierto? Entonces con eso, compas, muchas gracias. ¡Que viva la lucha! ¡Que vivan los inmigrantes! ¡El pueblo unido! Así es, compas. Bueno, tomémonos la foto.